Welcome to Dance Fit Biz Builders. I'm Orit, dancer, instructor, and proud owner of a thriving belly dance fitness business. And in this podcast, I'm giving it to you straight, sharing what it takes to kickstart and grow your dance and fitness business for the success you deserve. Whether you're a seasoned instructor, a passionate performer, or dreaming of turning your love for dance and fitness into a thriving career, you're in the right place. Lace up those sneakers and pull on those dance shoes and get ready for truth smacks, tips, and inspiration. Let's do this. Hey there, and welcome to the Dance Fit Biz Builders podcast. I'm Orit, and this is a very special episode. I have my dear friend and my right-hand person, Marissa. And if you haven't heard me talk about Marissa, Marissa is our Director of Professional Development here at SharQui. She mentors our SharQui instructors. So once our instructors go through SharQui 1 Principles certification, she then takes over from there and mentors them with our more advanced certifications. So, Marissa, thanks for coming on.
Oh, so good to be here. Such a pleasure.
So, Marissa, I want to tell the world about who you are, how the heck you got here.
Good question. I'm still trying to figure that out. Oh, it's so interesting. I've told the story a couple of times with SharQui, but it was at such a moment, in my life where, I can't believe I'm sitting here with you right now, right? So I was down and out and I was done dancing, had an experience with a belly dance teacher and certification and, just a community, and it didn't really go so well. I was burnt by the whole thing. And I was taking a break, I thought I was done with it. Still a consumer though, right? Still watching lots of belly dance.
But can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
What happened in that previous experience?
I was just I feel like I was thrown into the situation of teaching without the tools that I really needed and the support that I needed and the community that I needed. So, being someone's student, you don't always learn by osmosis. And I think there was a lot of that expectation without the real explanation and technique. It also wasn't a system or a format like SharQui, right? So it was a lot of work to choreograph each week.
How did you format it? How did you outline the class?
Oh, I was flying by the seat of my pants, honestly. I was showing up and praying. I was showing up and praying. I was showing up with music that I liked. So that helped. But I didn't even have the mind-body connection then that I have today. There was so much stress and tension in that environment. There was a lot of competition. There was a lot of jealousy. It just wasn't the best. Really difficult environment to thrive in. I remember saying even to the teacher that I was dancing with at some point, I got something fierce inside of me that I need you to help me, get out, I feel like I've got a really powerful, expressive drive. And, he was like, yeah, slow down there, killer. Right? So there was only one diva and it wasn't me.
Yeah.
So there was a real structure, I guess, to that community where students weren't really being fanned in any way or being encouraged to shine or excel. And, there was some fear of competition, like I said. So that studio closed down and everyone moved on and I was just done.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to do was drop a hip ever again or shimmy. And yet I found myself still watching tons of belly dance videos on YouTube. And then I saw you. And that was it. I felt so much resonance in my body from watching you dance. And I just knew that my passion wasn't dead. It was resting. And you woke it back up. And I literally jumped right in.
But I think what's important for our listeners to know is that you're not a typical spectator, right?
No.
Your background. Explain your background.
I mean, I'm a classically trained musician. So I started playing music when I was 8 years old, and I never stopped. Have a performance degree. And yes, I'm quite the connoisseur, right? When I say I'm a consumer, I think it's a little deeper. It's probably a connoisseur. I love the performing arts. I've always said music is definitely my love affair, and dance was just like the next level of surrender to it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So, I played classical guitar for a good chunk of my life, and I put it down when I got married and I had kids. So again, was the passion dead or resting? Yeah, that passion never died. And that's when it kind of went into dance. And by mistake, right? I never knew that I was showing up to a belly dance class the day that I did. I was showing up to like work out, like to a fitness class. But it was double booked with a belly dancer who was taking lessons. And my trainer was just like, we'll just all dance today, So yeah, I mean, I love music, movement. I love as well. Obviously, I have a fitness background, right? I was a program director at Y for a number of years, and had a tremendous weight loss naturally myself from exercise. So, dance and it just fit with the music and the movement that I loved. So yes, when I was watching you, I was picking up on a lot of things. You're right. This isn't a typical consumer that's just like, oh, that's great. I was like, oh, look at how big she appears. Look at her artistry. Look at her musicality. Look at the dynamics that she has. Look at her facial expressions. Look at how she connects with the audience. Like, I was just receiving so much information and data. I knew that what I was seeing was a lifetime of work presented in a 5-minute piece. And I was like, she practices. Hot damn, she practices.
That's right.
She works her ass off. Oh, she's gritty like me. Yeah. So it was that. And it was your structure. Your choreography was organized. So beyond musicality of watching you lay into something or hit something, your expression and like I said, the structure of how you were choreographing, you knew your music.
Yeah.
You weren't improvising. You knew what the hell you were doing, and it was done with intention and no fear, right? You were putting it out there.
Yeah.
So all that is like very emotional and energetic for me. And I knew that, some of that dance is that precise, that big, that artistic, has really done their homework. And this is a teacher that I want.
That's cool.
You reminded me of my guitar teacher, honestly. I'm like, oh, there he is in a dancer with curly hair,
Right.
It just was all very reminiscent for me. And so I Googled you. And who knew that you were really a thing, right? Like, I thought you were like my biggest discovery. Meanwhile, I was like the last one to the party. So I Googled you, and you had a teacher training.
Right.
And there was one open for registration. Dude, I paid that night. I signed up for it. I never took one of your classes. I never spoke to you. But I felt that, yes. I felt that thing in my body that was just like, that's what you want and that's what you know you want. Go do it. And interestingly enough, at that time too, I was going through a divorce. And to be where I was in a marriage that was breaking up after a fallout with the dance community, to say, I'm going to do this all again.
Wow.
Nuts.
Wow.
Are you nuts?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and here we are today. And it's been, how long is it? 2014, 10 years.
10 years.
10 years. 10 years. 10 years. Flew by. So yeah, I mean, just going from a place of, I want to dance again, to now, I'm teaching teachers how to teach.
Isn't that incredible, guys? What a journey.
Right? Straight line.
Yeah.
From there to there. No. It's a lot of stuff, but that's what happens when you just follow that yes. And I think a lot of people have that yes, and they tell it no.
Yeah. That's right.
I'm in my dream job right now. You know, I'm so fulfilled and inspired and learning so much, and just really in the place that feels like home to me. You know, what I love. Why would I ever tell that no? And yet, I've done it in my life. And I know people have done it. And I know that comes down to one thing. And it's fear of commitment.
Okay.
And interesting, I had a marriage that was breaking up, right? As I was committing or recommitting back to something else that I knew was part of me that really needed to get out. That fierce thing that I said, you know, to that first teacher that needed to get out. And interesting too, by the way, that first teacher that was like, yeah, settle down, be quiet. There's only one diva here.
Yeah.
The very first time I spoke to you, you called me up and you were like, who are you? Where'd you come from? That practical was perfect.
Yeah.
You know, you were like my biggest fan from day one.
But by the way, guys, I was just trying to find someone to replace me and who could teach like me. And this is Marissa. Sorry.
We're cut from the same cloth, I think, you know. I think we've had some very similar experiences with our discipline and our craft. And so many transferable skills that we've learned along the way that we apply to what we do.
That's right.
You know, we have a very similar work ethic too, I think. We're both Gen Xers. That might mean something.
Yeah.
Maybe. But, yeah, I mean, there were moments when you told me to dance even bigger.
Yeah. And she's tall, my friends. I mean, it's easy for her. I gotta work hard.
I'm big and I dance. And yeah, I mean, you would have me like panting. I was working so hard to push out what was inside of me. But it was awesome because I was pushing, you were pulling. You know what I mean? Like there was definitely a partnership and a relationship there where I think you recognized what I had inside of me and what my potential was. And you weren't willing to settle for anything less than me delivering what I wanted, right? You were just helping me realize it. So then yes, and even to that point you just made, like to do what you do and do how you do it. And there have been so many moments where in our work together, you've just stepped back and you'd say, Marissa, what do you think? Like, what an amazing working relationship and partnership, right? To be creative like that today. But there was a commitment, you know, that I made, I guess, a long time ago. And I see teachers, I see dancers, I see artists, all working through these fears. They have to be confronted one by one. And I think they show up differently for everyone, you know. Anyone who's in the business of an art form or an entrepreneur, you know, someone that's doing something creative, they run into these fears. I see our teachers working through them, you know, that I mentor.
Right.
And I've definitely seen it through myself. So, you know, maybe we can chat about this for a little bit. And to me, you're a little bit of an anomaly.
Okay.
Like you do fear like a boss.
All right. Okay.
You know, I don't feel like you ever show up shaking.
Are you kidding me?
But you don't, my friend.
Oh, I show up shaking.
Where?
What, are you talking in reference to performing or teaching or
all of it? Yeah.
Oh,
you seem solid.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Well, I mean, look, if you're not nervous before you perform, then I feel like you don't care. I mean, that's how I feel.
That's it. And that was my first teacher. He used to say it all the time. If you're not showing up nervous anymore, retire. You're done.
Right.
You do what you have to do.
Right.
So I understand. You just have a really, you channel it really well. I think it makes you dance even bigger and stronger.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I've seen it. I think the biggest fear, it's hard to put these in a hierarchy, but especially like when I'm mentoring newer teachers that want to grow, it's the fear of not being good enough.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Right? I mean, so many of us encounter that when we want to go out there with that thing that's living inside of us and we want to put it out there and we're like, it's not good enough. You know, there's a not enoughness to it. And you have your story in a way. Like you almost said it, you know, like your size is not enough or too much, right? Depending on where you went, who you auditioned for. Yeah.
But can I ask you what you're so good at when you're mentoring instructors? By the way, she has a background in
process work,
right? Is that it's a type of therapy?
Yeah, it's a modality from Arnie Mandel, who was actually Carl Jung's student, and it's David Bedrick, who runs the Santa Fe Institute of Shame-Based Studies. So I did his 10-month course in process work and his trauma and facilitation courses. So yes, I have some background with facilitation.
And you're really great at mentoring instructors who don't feel like they're good enough and to really like sort of get the best out of them. So like, can I ask you, what is your process with that when you're speaking to a new instructor or someone who's submitting a video for assessment?
Honestly, it's all different. I think that's part of the process in and of itself, that there's no one absolute answer to these questions. I really have to look at the individual who's submitting and look at so many subtle layers, whether it's speech patterns, how they're talking, how they're connecting to the camera or not, things they're doing in their body. You know, are they kind of withdrawn? Are they dancing small? Are they overdoing it? Are they behind the beat? Are they ahead of the beat? That tells me a lot about their emotional state. You know, if you're ahead of the beat, you've got some anxiety there. You're pushing, you're rushing.
Yeah.
And if you're behind, you're laying into things too long because of uncertainty. Now, these are generalizations that I've seen often, but I'm watching for really small nuances. It's data for me. And when I get the whole not good enough speech from a new instructor, you know, I start working with them with those themes. So why aren't you good enough? You know, I don't have enough experience. All right. How do you get enough experience? By doing the thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I mean, some of this is pretty simple, right? But But that mental chatter could really get in the way, and there's a lot of noise in the head. So sometimes they just really need to hear someone make a plain and simple statement.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you don't have enough, how do you get enough? By doing it.
By doing it.
Right? And then it leads to the next fear, though. Okay, so you're going to go do the thing, right?
Yeah.
You're not good enough and you're afraid, but you're still going to go do the thing because you know that's the only way to do the thing, by doing the thing.
Yep.
Then it's fear of getting hurt.
Yep.
And that could come in so many ways. You know, the audience in a performing art, the audience is usually, you know, the biggest factor in what could hurt you.
Sure.
Whether you're received or not, accepted or not, loved or not. You know, that whole critical acclaim piece when you're playing to an audience, performing to an audience, it's, you know, to please them, to connect with them, to communicate with them, to inspire them. And if you don't get that feedback, it hurts.
Yeah.
And when an instructor gives me a 30-minute practical that they practiced for 5 weeks, and I have to give them feedback, it hurts.
Yeah.
Or it could hurt, let's say it like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I deliver things in such a way that I minimize. I'm very sensitive.
You're so good at that, Marissa. She's brilliant.
I understand I'm working with a human being that's worked very hard. And to me, hard work is obvious. It blows perfection away. Hard work is sexy. You know? You can see when someone's working hard.
Yeah.
They're not always working smart. But again, it might be because they didn't have the right mentorship.
True.
And, you know, a person guiding them on how to practice and what's smart practice. You know, how are you going to get results out of the thing that you're doing? But obviously, I get that audiences aren't as sensitive as I am, and it's going to hurt in some way, shape, or form. The feelings are going to get hurt. All those other fears are going to come back again. Like, you know, you're on a feedback loop. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not enough of something. And it hurts. And it becomes like almost like a vicious feedback loop that's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Mm-hmm. And thank God, like, again, there's my example. I kind of had that happen where someone was like, quiet down, you're too much.
Yeah.
And then I had someone break that feedback loop for me and was like, no, you're not enough. I want even more of you. Right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we went through 2. There's fear of not good enough and fear of being hurt. And then comes, and again, I don't think these always happen in the same order, but let's say, you know, you got the guts to go out there even though you feel like you're not good enough and you go out there. Let's say you're out there, you get hurt, but you're still going to continue because you're committed, right? It hurts. You know, life is kind of sucking at the moment. Yeah, I don't really know if I really want to be out here doing this thing, but all right, I'm going to show up for it again. And you get some small wins, right? Mm-hmm. Things start happening. Maybe not at the clip that you would hope for, right? Sure. Progress is usually on the slow side, but you get some wins. And so then what happens? The pressure starts to build. And then there's the fear of the pressure. Tell me about fear of pressure, girlfriend. Tell me about it. What's that fear of pressure?
I'll tell you that fear of pressure.
Yeah.
And again, you know, I'm not saying this to gloat. I'm just giving you an experience, but an event that happened. So, you know, a few times when I've gotten off stage after a performance, people are like, wow, that was amazing. You have so much power, blah, blah, blah. And people really love the performance. I always put pressure on myself because I feel like I have to top that previous performance. How do I top that? Because now I don't want to disappoint them. What if it wasn't as amazing as it was in their eyes? I mean, it's just like with this, I just, what do I do with that, Marissa?
Dude, I'm still here figuring it out. Yeah. You know, so I'll tell you what my guitar teacher would tell you.
Okay.
So this was a real experience. My first performance under his guidance, I was so innocent. I was in love with music. I didn't give a shit about performing, honestly. That was just part of it. I just wanted to play. In my room for people, I didn't care. I just wanted my hands on the instrument.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was my freshman year. My first semester of freshman year, I probably had a 10-minute spot on like a student performance.
Nice.
That I was working on. And I went out there and I did exactly what he said to do. So much so, I was startled at the thunderous applause and the standing ovation that I got.
Wow. Amazing.
I was in the zone.
Yeah.
Doing what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I was like a wide-eyed deer looking out at the audience, like, who are they clapping for? Me? I just literally did what I did in my bedroom every night for the last 5 months.
Right.
And I remember when I was walking backstage, my teacher was there and he looked at me and like, he took his pointer finger and like called me over, and I walked over and I'm still wide-eyed. And he was like, kiddo, I hate that just happened to you. I was like, what? Yeah, I was scared. I got scared. He goes, no, not because you got scared. He's like, you know what's going to happen now? You just played the perfect performance. That never happens to anyone, let alone their first time out. He's like, it was perfect. He goes, so now you just learned that perfection equals applause, love, and acceptance. He goes, so now how much pressure are you going to be under to deliver that experience? Your ego's going to grow. You're going to start to put pressure on. So we got to start learning about some other things now. Huh. Whew. Yeah.
What other things? What do you have to learn?
Yeah, you know what we focused a lot on?
What?
Creating perfect moments.
Oh. Wait, okay. How do you do that?
There's a part that I hit every single time.
Okay.
I can do it with my eyes closed. It's easy for me. I'm going to bring that out. I know I'm strong in it. I don't doubt myself. I'm going to bring that out. Parts that I've struggled with. I was throwing clams left and right. I was getting fret buzz. I was always struggling. I was going to go into a place of ease with it in performance and be at peace with it's going to show up how it's been showing up. If there was a moment where I could be extra gooey and really lay into something and be really sweet, I was going to do that. So every moment that I could bring enough of myself to was going to become a forgivable moment, right? It was an exchange. Mm-hmm. When I created these moments that would wow people, they would overlook the moments that weren't so wow.
In your eyes?
In the audience eyes.
And how do you know in the audience eyes? Would they tell you?
This is according to my teacher.
Okay.
From his experience, from being out and gigging and playing so much that he worked this way. He never lost a gig, he never lost a part, he never lost a job, and he was still loved and respected and applauded. So that was the evidence for him and the feedback for him that I can be human out there, right?
Okay.
I don't have to be 100% perfect. I have to bring all of myself to those perfect moments that I could create, because that's what people love. They're not paying attention to what I'm struggling with.
But do they have that ear, though, to know when you have a shitty scale or riff?
They probably don't, but I think that's a very psychological process because the performer is so connected to the audience. Right? He kind of had to turn the tables and flip the script a little bit. Yeah, it's a really interesting thing. You know, when we're working, we're literally working for someone at that point, right? We're working to get something out of someone. And it's a mirror to ourselves. Like, we put in effort, what do we want? Feedback. We want good feedback. You know, today we don't put in no effort and we still want good feedback. We've gotten a little messed up, right? We've gotten a lot messed up. But those of us with the work ethic who are really doing the work, you know. So it's about learning how to be enough, right? Mm-hmm. And to accept your best is enough. And your struggle is real. It's always going to be there. I never topped that first performance. Never.
In your eyes.
Right. Who knows? Because if I talk to every single person in the audience of every single show, no. So in my eyes, you're right. I never did. Did I play things that were much more technical and advanced and physically demanding than that first show? Yes. So I'm sure that had something to do with it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
Did the stakes get higher and higher every performance? A 10-minute performance and then a scholarship performance, you know what I'm saying? Right. An hour-long program going from the Renaissance to modern music with an intermission, and I'm going to get a scholarship for playing that?
Right.
The stakes are so much higher.
Yeah. I get it.
Innocence is bliss, right? So yeah, the moment people love what you do and tell you who you are, you feel like you have to live up to it.
So what is the lesson here? Don't compliment people.
You suck. Do better next time. Oh, there's the pressure. I think the lesson here is we have to know that we do these things to share a part of ourselves. A part. That moment in time. It's a performing art. It's live. It's in time. The next time you show up, you're showing up with a different part of you. And it could be different. You're allowed to change. You know, you're allowed to explore. You know, we get caught up, and I was talking about this the other day, actually, with a friend about signatures. You know, we get into a niche or we do something that everyone comes to know as ours, right?
Yeah.
I think you have 50 signatures, honestly, or like when I watch you dance, I'm like, oh, that's a read and that's only a read. Oh, that's a read and only a read. And honestly, to tell you the truth, though, I'm not lying. You still have those signatures even today. I know we're both getting older. I know things are becoming much more difficult in our bodies. I get it.
Yeah.
You still have those signatures. Like, there's a part of you that you're never going to lose, you know? And I don't think that's really for the audience to determine who you are. It's just what they're seeing in you. It's what they like. I always say, like, for performers, who they are is someone who's chasing the truth of the moment, you know? And if they're delivering their practice, they're being true to who they are, they're being true to what they've done, you really can't go wrong.
I love that.
You can't go wrong. You know, and to go back to why do you do it in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
You wanted it.
Yeah.
You wanted to do it. You love it.
Yeah.
So someone who's like, well, here's a condition on my love back for that, right? I'm only going to love you if you dance big.
Right.
I'm only going to love you if you do that incredible hair whip. You better never stop whipping your hair around, girlfriend. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm only going to love you if. That's like kind of what they're saying when they say, like, I love that thing that you did. You know, you always do it so well. They're seeing a part of you, and it's cool. It's just not all of you.
Right.
So every time you show up, you're going to show up with a little bit more of you, a little bit something else of you. Because you love it.
Yeah.
Because you're in a relationship with it and you're committed to it.
Yeah.
So you're going to let it take all the different forms it has to evolve. Right? Like you don't, come on. Do you really want to be the dancer you were of your 20s?
Not really. No.
Yeah.
No. You know, I want to share something. So this is very interesting. So I did a hafla, I did a performance in Philly, and I did a different kind of performance. People know me as a little bit more, I guess, more athletic when I'm dancing. And this time I performed a folkloric dance, something from my own heritage, a Yemeni dance. It was a basket dance. And it was slow, it was repetitive, it was unlike my other dances, and it was different for people. Like, oh, this is a different side. And then I changed into a different costume and did a Yemeni modern piece, something that young people do now in Israel who have Yemeni heritage. And again, as a mixture of hip hop with some Yemeni folk, and that was different for people. Not that they didn't like it, but they're like, oh, I saw another side of Orit. Orit is not just a belly dancer who may be athletic, but wow, she knows other forms of dance. And oh, Orit is of Arabic heritage. I didn't know. You know, some people don't even know, which is fine. I mean, it's not necessary to know, but
So. No, you know, I'm relating to that through another way too. Like, all right. So this commitment thing, right? Like you're into this thing, right? And you're finding all these different facets of you and dance and stuff. That's awesome. And like you learn to appreciate where you are at that stage of your life, right? You're appreciating folkloric and like your heritage more today than you were in your 20s.
Very true.
So you're showing up real. You're showing up with the thing. And that's cool.
Yeah. And
I think for a career to have that type of longevity, that actually has to happen. And I'm like really into a band that's been around for like 40 years, right? I fell in love with them on day one. You notice I jump pretty quick, right? It's always that day one, right? Like I know. So first time I heard them, I love them. And they were around for a good like 30 years, plus making music. And I couldn't wait for every album. I loved everything they put out. The last album that they put out does not at all sound like the first one that they put out, right? And you get like the people in between like, oh, they're selling out, oh, they're doing this, right? Like they're so critical and, they're so analytical. And I'm like, hold on, they're evolving, okay?
Yeah.
It's 30 effing years later.
Yeah.
They've been together. What do you think a married couple is going to be like? You're going to change, right?
Of course.
So I think we're always like exploring right within the container that we're in and bringing new things to life. And it's beautiful. And that actually mitigates the next fear that people actually go through. And that's FOMO, fear of missing out. Right? When you commit to a thing, to practice, to show up day after day, year after year, performance after performance, class after class, what else might be going on out there? Because, right, you got to say a whole lot of no to other stuff when you're committed to a thing, right? That's why, and I get it, like even the multi-passionate people out there, and trust me, I have passions and passions and passions, leave me to my own devices. I could be a very busy person, but I know I can't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I picked the lane and I'm going to drive in the lane that I picked. I'm going to get good at one thing. But, people will have that FOMO. Even fear of missing out on their Starbucks coffee every day if they really want to save money to go into business, right?
Right.
You really want the Starbucks more than the business that you're dreaming at? Like, really?
Yeah.
But you just proved the point, though, through your experience. what FOMO have you had in your career? You started as like a modern dancer.
Yeah.
Well, let's say you really started as a traditional dancer, but before you were formally educated, right? That's your heritage, really.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You're a modern dancer.
Yep.
Fitness. Back to now you're in competitive belly dance.
Uh-huh.
Then you're dancing folkloric.
Yeah.
What have you missed out in dance, right? Like
Right.
you've hip hop, you just like you've kind of done it all through the very one thing that you do.
Right.
So I don't know what people are afraid of missing out, right? Like they're gonna, if they commit and they stay in their lane and they drop some of the other passions, they'll experience all of life through that one thing.
Brilliant. That's right.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I think that last fear that, is a tough one for people is the fear of losing independence. Now, that's a big one. But your example of even the audience, right? Like when people are like coming up to you and like, oh, I love that you did that. You're so this, you're so that. They're projecting upon you now. You've lost yourself. You've lost your independence. You've become a slave to your audience.
Yeah, I see that.
You're enslaved to meeting their expectations, to delivering the thing that they like, doing that thing, being boxed in.
Yeah.
Instead of being the independent artist that you are, to explore, do what your body allows of you,
Right.
be called to the music that calls you. We get afraid of that. But just like I started with today about like a passion resting and not dead.
Yeah.
The true artist is always free to explore, and it will always push and like endure on, you know what I mean, to keep going. Like if it's not one experience, like another one will come around again. That's
Right.
going to be the opportunity for you to kind of prove your independence right within the space where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's some deep stuff, huh?
Yeah, really deep stuff. And so can we bring it back around? Because after all, we do work in SharQui.
Yeah.
How can you now relate this commitment, FOMO
Yeah.
thing to SharQui instructors, or if anyone who's wanting to get certified?
I mean, that was definitely my journey. If you see, though, right, that I said yes to teacher training and I stayed committed. And here I am, director of professional development. And now I'm writing curriculum, right?
Yeah.
That's how far a yes could take you and how far a commitment could take you. But as far as our instructors, so SIA, right, SharQui Instructor Academy, you're going to learn 5 principles in SharQui Instructor. That's going to take a lot of discipline. That commitment has to be there. And then after that, it takes 4 quarterly practicals to get invited to SharQui 2. So it's oodles of discipline. All those fears are going to show up right away.
Right.
Right? Because if you commit to that growth trajectory that we have for instructors, you're going to learn your principles, peas and carrots,
Yeah.
You're going to learn your principles and you're going to get damn good at them. And you're going to pass a practical. We're not a pay-to-play business. You got to pass a practical. You actually have to be able to do the thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're really passionate about keeping our class experience consistent and delivering our brand promise. That we can teach anyone to dance, right? 2 left feet, no rhythm. We can still teach you how to dance.
Yeah.
So you got to learn those principles to be able to do that. If you really want the thing, right? Like you're in love with teaching, you're in love with dancing, you're in love with music, you're in love with students. Like you want the thing. It's so great. You're gonna take this like sigh of relief after SIA. And think, okay. And then you learn about our growth trajectory and you're seeing maybe SharQui 2 classes in the virtual studio and you're loving those choreographies, right? And you're like, oh, hot damn. that's what's next. You know, I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that's brilliant, right? Or, oh, that's so fun. SharQui 2 choreographies are great. Okay, so then you're gonna encounter all of that FOMO, you know, fear of losing your independence, fear of not being good enough, especially as you start out in the instructor challenges. So in a year, you're going to do 4 instructor challenges. So again, there's the commitment. And then when you get to SharQui 2, you're going to learn 9 new elements to apply to your 5 principles. So we're still scaffolding, right?
Yeah.
So it's actually making you work through your fears systematically.
Yeah.
Right? And then by the time you get to SharQui 2, and you have to have mastery of those 5 principles.
Right.
And now you're going to practice adding elements. And it's a self-study course, so we don't hold your hand.
Yeah.
The task is so big,
Uh-huh.
there's no more time for fear.
Yeah.
You gotta do the effing thing.
Yeah.
And the instructors who are there and doing it, they have transformed in front of my eyes
Yeah.
from their day 1, from their SIA practical, their first quarterly challenge,
Yeah.
to passing SharQui 2, mind-blowing.
Yeah. Great.
Mind-blowing. But they've literally shut up all that mental chatter and noise about, I'm not good enough.
Right.
You know, I'm missing out on something else. I've lost my independence. I'm not enough of this. You know, I'm afraid she's not going to like it. I'm afraid I'm doing this wrong.
Yep.
They got to go for it.
Yep.
And what's showing up is, what I love is they're finding more of themselves, right? Like the instructors are now lending their unique personality to a system. So we're better because of them. Like, yeah, the curriculum is great. It is. You know, it's been around, what, 25 years now?
Yeah, roughly.
Rock on. That's a love affair.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, like that stuff is brilliant. And it's stood the test of time, you know, and instructors all over the world now. But now we have someone who's making us better.
Yeah.
Because they're lending their personality,
Yeah.
you know, their unique delivery.
I love that.
Me too.
And we're learning from them. We're always learning from that.
Always. I know sometimes I'm like, I should be paying you to do what I do because I am so enriched by it.
Right?
Yeah, it's mind-blowing. Definitely inspiring. And, you know, there's stories, right? Like, you know, there's so many personalities that we work with and they're all great. Like, everyone's so different. And there's always like the story of kind of like the underdog, right?
Yeah.
Like the person who's working really hard and not gaining traction, but they're at it, you know?
Yeah.
They just haven't caught that wind or, you know, something. And when they finally do, it's like they surpass all the other people. Like, I love those stories. I love seeing that happen. It happens. And I know when it's happening. I know the personality type.
Yeah.
I know they're going to be fine. You know, I know it's like they just need a little pat on the butt. Like, all right, you know, let's just keep going. You're going to be fine. Like, just trust it's all going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
But when it finally happens, it's so beautiful. And not like all the other people are doing something wrong, right? They're doing their thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the underdog is maybe doubting a little more than everyone else, or they're a little harder on themselves, and they're a little bit more afraid, and they've been hurt so much more than other people. So they take a while. And then it's just like you know, they just rocket over everyone. So I love seeing that stuff happen.
Yeah. That's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Marissa, this has been really cathartic for me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Take a nap.
Thank you. So,
it's my pleasure.
any last words?
I mean, I'm a writer. Last words. Whew, that's pressure. It's too much pressure. Why'd you ask me that question? Yeah, I mean, look, for those of you out there that are considering teaching, don't hesitate. Just jump in. If you're considering something else, let's say you started this journey, like you thought teaching might be right for you, and you're realizing it's not, like something else is calling you. Go do the thing. Say yes and jump in.
Yeah.
You know, life is too short.
Yeah.
Jump in and do the thing. Because you could see my story. Sometimes the passion is just resting.
Yeah.
And if it's really meant to be, it will be.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes it just needs to happen a little later. Sometimes you need the right community, the right teacher. So there's another thing about like that whole fear of losing independence. You're not going to lose your independence. You always have freedom of choice to change your mind. And it's not being a quote unquote quitter. Like sometimes we can be overcommitted to our detriment.
Yep.
Right? Like how you've overtrained, right?
Of course.
Right. Yeah. We've all stayed too long somewhere that we shouldn't have been. You know, even in 1 hour practice session, if we didn't have the energy for it. But you know, if you're feeling that yes, it's going to lead somewhere good.
Yeah.
You know, you can really trust that. That's all I really want folks who are thinking about, you know, whether it's, I love her as a dancer, I love her classes, I love having a system, I love not having to look for music, you know, I love being with people in the social aspect of teaching. I love being able to teach online. Like if there's something that you love in all this, you really feel it, go with it.
Yeah.
We've definitely have the evidence. It's 25 years now, you know, and growing like crazy. We're beyond our first curriculum. We've got the second one already launched. The third one's coming. Fourth one's coming. And by the way, you know how Arit was looking for someone that could teach like her? I'm looking for people who can mentor like me. Like, the sad thing is, right? But the joyful thing is, this is legacy work. Teaching is legacy work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We need to pass the knowledge along. So, when I'm done writing SharQui 4, it's time for someone else to step into my role. That could be you.
Love that.
That could be you. My journey went very fast in 10 years. That could be you in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Let me tell you, it's not going to take me 10 years to put out the next 2 curriculums, right? Probably 2 more years. I'm looking for people who could mentor. I have a master instructor team that I work with. They're brilliant. They're amazing. And I'm always looking for more master instructors. Yes, you have to go through our certification process and pass all of our curriculums. But, I mean, if you're hot on this and you really want to pass the knowledge along, teaching students is great. It is. I still do it. I love it. It's a high that I'm never letting go of. But teaching teaches. Like, I mean, teaching a teacher how to teach is ultimate, right? Because it's exponential. Yes. How many more people are you going to affect?
Right.
Through one person.
Right. It's a ripple effect.
Huge ripple effect.
Yep.
So if you love to teach, you know, and you're feeling that, just dive in. We got you. Yeah. We're going to be there with you.
Yeah.
We're not going to let you drown. And we're not going to let it get detrimental for you. You know, we know when this isn't right for someone. And we have conversations with people.
Absolutely.
That's why we're not a pay-to-play organization. We're a can you do it?
Exactly. And that's why we have those discovery calls, and because we want to make sure you're not wasting your money and you're not wasting your time.
That's right.
We want to make sure we're both a good fit for each other.
That's right. It has to be mutually beneficial. We both have to benefit off of the agreement and the arrangement.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think in that sense, you know, we really do deliver our promise. And I know no other. Look, I also come from the fitness background. I mean, certifications are not all equal these days, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot you could do by just sending an online payment. You know, you get certified for everything under the sun right now if you pay your $197.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
And you get certified in 24 hours.
Yeah.
And, you know, whatever. But we're not like that. We're with you the whole way. And we're definitely inspired by people that work hard.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And we're not pushovers.
Nope.
We love what we do, and we believe in what we do.
Yeah.
Right? So we'll deliver. And look, between the two of us sitting in this room right now, what is it, over 50 years of experience, combined experience?
Yes.
So I trust that. I trust that practice.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Good stuff, my friend. Thank you so much for having me. It's always such a joy to play and talk and create with you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Oh, gosh. If it wasn't for Marissa, honestly, guys, and my team, and the team, you know, that's been with me or who aren't with me now, if it wasn't for them, really, SharQui wouldn't be here. It wouldn't be what it is today. So thank you.
My pleasure.
Do you want to take us out with my signature outro?
What's your signature outro?
You don't know. It's okay, totally okay.
I got a lot of voices in my head. I've got so much fear.
It's okay. So here's what I say. All right, folks, until next episode, go and kick ass.
All right, folks, until next episode, go and kick ass.
Woohoo!
That's cute.